I want to take a brief moment of all of your time to share some amazing news that many of you are involved with, and at least many of you or all of you have seen unfolding here in the community and on the channel. Late in 2022, I asked for 2,000 volunteers to come forward and to fundraise $100 each to help to build the first stage of a new village for special needs children, a village that will serve the whole country of Tanzania, and when it's completed will be able to house, accommodate, provide a loving family home, rehabilitate and bring children into a life where when they become adults they can support themselves for more than 500 children. What we asked for was 2,000 volunteers to be able to help us build stage one. And stage one allows us to build a small village, a small part of the village, which allows us to provide a safe and loving home for just short of 100 special needs children living in crisis. Children who, as I speak now, are suffering and among the most marginalized of human beings inside the whole human story, I dare to say. I'm so grateful to tell you all that we have reached our target. We have hit our $200,000 goal. And it was made possible by so many of you sharing a little bit every month, doing some fundraisers, and then at the end we had one large donor who came forward. And so with offline donations we have now reached our goal, and construction is pushing on. It's just phenomenal. I will be flying out there soon and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. The team, of course, are out there, the board of trustees out there who are managing all of this in my absence. But ultimately what I want to share, naturally, is a huge thank you. 7 years ago, it was now, I remember sitting with one child in my care and I was terrified. I was feeling truly overwhelmed that there was a child in the world who was calling me dad, and he was not biologically my child. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I guess it's safe to say now that I've opened the doors to a child in need, and that's Dominic, and I don't mind doing it. I don't mind caring for him. I don't mind looking out for him, feeding him, loving him. I just don't mind. It doesn't bother me one bit. So it's inevitable with 120 children in the fund now that there's going to be another child along the line who's going to need a bed, who's going to need a place to eat, somewhere to be loved, who's going to need a home. So this week I've opened the doors of the centre, and Uchira Children's Fund now has Uchira Children's Home. I guess. So it wasn't planned, but I'm not going to turn away children who need somewhere to sleep, somewhere safe to live, somewhere to eat. So yeah, you've all just witnessed the birth of Uchira Children's Home, I guess. And yeah, I'm going to get off. Still feeling very bewildered, so I need to do some meditating, get my mind centered, and get ready for tomorrow, because as this week's proven, I just don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I couldn't even. I was overwhelmed. But I had this image and this vision that this small house we had where this one child was, and I saw the healing that he was going through. I saw the return of joy and love to this child's life. I kept thinking this house should be filled with such children if they are out there. And in my prayers, many things occurred and this community formed around that message which I shared with the world, that there are these children. Then a homeless woman with a special needs child comes to my gate, and it sets me on this whole other journey as I look around and see no solution, not only in Tanzania but Africa-wide, for homeless women with special needs children. The only option is to separate them, and if they are homeless, they love their child. And so I prayed a lot, and we built the first house with a fundraiser from a church in the UK, and it was just a 2-room house on our land near our dog rescue to be able to provide a home for this single mother who was homeless with a special needs child. And there it was born, this concept that special needs children, many of which are abandoned, there's high levels of infanticide sadly, certainly mistreated, chained up, tied up, left alone, that if they need some place to live, that the best caregiver is a single mother who has raised her own child. And so if there are children's villages, they should be letting single mothers live there so they can find employment and those children can have an extremely qualified caregiver. That has now manifested. And now we are replicating it on a larger scale that will serve the whole nation of Tanzania. This new village stands to play a phenomenally huge role in eradicating the suffering of these children forever in the nation of Tanzania. For when we have that centralized point, we can open our regional offices, our social workers can go out, we can educate. Those children who have absolutely no option can come to the community. Those children who their families need support and education, we can provide that. And we can eradicate this whole problem. And by now, from being that man with one child who was terribly nervous and overwhelmed, I absolutely, in all faith, believe it's possible to solve this problem for the entire nation of Tanzania. And that is what this community, their love, their sharing, and the agreement to this vision that was handed to this human sitting here talking by some compassionate unseen force outside of this world, and yet ever present within it. We're going to solve it. And when we solve it for Tanzania, we can use that to present ourselves to other avenues of receiving funding with this blueprint. Here, developing countries, these children must be there. These children have to be in every developing country. And therefore the problem is one that I pray for a solution for those children. I think of them when you have broken down a door and you've met a child tied up, the smell, the image, the pain, the energy of it all, it never leaves you. And you know in the back of your mind it's happening now, today. You always know it. And it's a good driving force to continue to try and solve the problem. But this community here is going to solve that problem. Not only physically, but inside human consciousness as well. These children now exist. The problem now is existing in the consciousness of thousands of people, you guys. And that changes, that evolves something, I see it. And so when Tanzania is done, we will move to another country. I've no doubt about it. And we will build these villages wherever they are needed. That's the level of faith that the team and I have, thanks to the profound acts of love and sharing and support and kindness that have been offered by this community listening to my voice now. This collection of humans who chose to love, chose to use their resources for something outside of selfish ambition and said, I'm going to love and help and support. You have given me personally and the team an immense level of faith to believe that this is completely possible to eradicate this problem nationwide. And sitting as this man talking to you, who many of you listen to because I share about my walk with God, I tell you that I have this profound memory, not that long ago in the greater scheme of things, of being nervous about having one child in our care. And now those nerves don't exist. I've seen the power of God moving in so many human beings in this world that it can't. It just can't. I must believe my faith and not my sight. It's absolutely possible. There's enough love in humanity's hearts, and there's enough humans open to the presence and the guidance of a will of unconditioned love in this world, that it's possible. It almost feels like living in a dream, and you're all part of making that happen. And so to everybody who has brought us this far, from the early days up until this point, thank you for everything you have done. To our huge and ever-growing family in Tanzania as I speak now, and to the construction of a new children's village which will provide a solution for the whole nation of Tanzania once it is finished and once it is developed and completed. And so we live in immense gratitude, and we don't stop here. We keep going. We've reached our goal and it's amazing, and we celebrate it and we give thanks, but we keep going because we have to finish this whole village. We have to be able to provide the resources to the team in Tanzania to be able to fulfill the role of a family. They will need their vehicles, they will need new team members that they have to train, new social workers, new physiotherapists. And beyond there, we need to continue our outreach to find these endless amounts of homeless mothers with special needs children that are out there. And these endless amounts, sadly, of children who are living in absolute horrendous conditions, which you have witnessed on this channel. It's just phenomenal. All I can say is thank you, and please keep being awesome. The world needs it, and these children need it. You know, I speak constantly here of oneness. I speak constantly here of unity. And Jesus said, whatever you do unto the least of these, you do unto me. Because I recognize that when you know you are a soul, when you look at another human being, you see a soul and you love them. When you don't know that you're a soul and you get tangled in the separation of roles and you lose that home in that space of presence and unity with that higher love, and you don't necessarily see another that you love. You look at the world with a different filter. How will it help the self? And this community is without that filter. This community is moving in that message of unity and love. It's living it. And it's absolutely true that what you have done for these children, you have done for God. As we love one another, we love God. And as we love God, we must love one another. Just absolutely phenomenal. God bless you all. Thank you. Please keep being awesome.